I want you to do right now is give her number one. Please clap your hands, please. Give me number two. Stand up feet. Give me number three. Please make a warm welcome for Lima and Idris Elba. Make some noise.
How you doing, everyone? You good? Fantastic. Hope DJ, you good? Always big up the DJs. What's happening, everyone? How you feeling? It's good. It's good to see such a nice turnout for an important event, man. So I'm very happy to be here.
I'm Elijah. I'm going to be testing Idris today. So Storm has recently teamed up with Idris to I guess Don't Stop Your Future campaign. And the first question is, what motivates you to support small charities like Storm?
Okay, so I think what motivates me to sort of support, charities, organisations that are out there trying to bang the drum and make noise about knife crime is that if I don't do it, nobody wants to do it.
Come on.
I mean? And I'm not saying I'm anyone special. What I mean is that if someone that has the voice box, the amplification I have, the platform I have to make noise about how knife crime is not only affecting us, black and brown people, but our communities all over the UK, then no one feels motivated to talk about it. There are organisations like Storm right across the UK that don't get any love, that don't get any amplification, right? They pull together these community nucleuses and bring communities together, bring community leaders together, raise money for victims, families of the victims, but yet still they don't get the recognition that they need. So that's what motivates me, you know what I mean? It motivates me to sort of, lend what I can as someone in the public eye to help, I have a small organisation called Don't Stab Your Future, and essentially it's a clothing organisation. And basically I made hoodies, t-shirts, trackies, blah, blah, blah. And all the money that I make from these hoodies with the messaging, Don't Stab Your Future, I give to an organisation. I've worked with Storm, I've worked with, thank you. I've worked with Steel Warriors, yeah, thank you, I appreciate you guys. But the truth is, that's, for me, there's many ways to try and make noise. Some people can stand outside Parliament, wait for politicians. Some people could go into Parliament and try and change policy. For me, I feel like when people, especially in the day of a consumer that's conscious, if someone has an option to buy a hoodie and likes the vibe of it and knows that the money is going to contribute to something good in this day and age, that person is going to wear it with pride and talk about it.
Yes.
And talking about it is part of it. You know what I mean? That's the thing. We got to just remember to talk about it. Like, knife crime is a real thing. Young people are getting murdered a lot. So if a hoodie is a little bit of an advertising board for that, that's my way in. Of course, I'd love to be at government level. I'd love to talk to the mayor. I'd love to talk to the Prime Minister. You get me? Well, whichever one of the Prime Ministers.
That's the next thing.
Well, I would love to, but ultimately what I think I can do easiest is raise money for small organisations like this that are pulling people together to talk about it. Yeah? That was a long answer, I'm sorry.
So you've had such an amazing career, and to find courage is what it takes. It's courage. How did you find courage and strength to stay on your amazing career path and keep going?
It's a good point, man, because I feel like part of my courage is because I failed so many times in my journey. It's like it didn't just land on my lap and suddenly I was where I wanted to be. I had to, kick down a few doors, literally, and beg a little bit, put away my pride. But as you do that, incrementally, your courage gets stronger. You just, as soon as, if you're taking L's, you just feel a lot stronger.
Testify.
Going for the next one. You're not as scared. you know? So that's something that I feel like, young people should definitely embrace, that sometimes you're going to take a knockback, whether that's in school, whether that's within your community or your little gang culture. You're going to take a knockback, but you have to step over that knockback to just stay focused and move forward. Because as soon as you let fear into your heart, you just start doing scary things, basically,
I think following on from that about taking a knockback, I think what words would you have for young people on the theme of staying positive, staying away from violence, finding a safe path?
I mean, it's really hard to answer that because a lot of people say, what would you say to young people? But ultimately, young people don't want to listen to me. They don't like people telling them what to do. And they say it's easy for you to say that. And so for me, it's just lead by example. Just try and show them that actually, I come from East London, Hackney, Holly Street. And anyway, big up East London, one person. Big up. But I grew up in an area called Dalston in Hackney, and Holly Street Estate when I was growing up, was, I'm talking, I'll show you, I'm 50 now, so in the 70s, Holly Street area was basically a front line. It was where people used to come and get their drugs, Holly Street Estate. And that area is where my mum and dad came from West Africa in the late 60s and moved there. And they didn't even want to let me out the house, you get me? Because right across the street, people were running, shotting drugs and everything. And for me, coming from that background, I know that ultimately I could have taken a few different avenues, all right? And I have to give bigger up to my mum, who was very strict. My dad was a little more relaxed about it, but my mum was very strict. And at the time, I used to hate it, like, African mum on my neck all day. But actually, that parenting kept me on the right path, So is there any parents out here? Listen, I know how hard it is to keep your children on the right path because you don't want to bark down their necks all the time. Culturally, where I grew up, man, get lashed with shoes, curtain wire, belt. I mean, right? But this day and age, the culture's changed. You can't raise your children in that same way. So it's harder to, raise your children the way you were raised, all right? So, but I will say that my mom kept it solid with me, And there was a lot of fear-mongering, but her fear-mongering came from her observation of the street. Don't follow them, boy, there. Simple. Do your own path. And I remember as soon as I could understand what that meant, it became my mantra. When I saw the fork in the road, Elijah, when I was like, okay, I can go this way, get into trouble, or I can go this way. Don't follow them, man, that came in my head. And so, if I say anything to young people these days, it's listen to your parents, man. Your parents love you, It's just an important thing that you have a mum and dad. Whether you come from a split family or not, whether you have just a parent or a guardian, listen to them. They care for you, they love you. The other thing is, man, don't follow them, man. Do your thing. Be an individual, it's really important. Being an individual doesn't feel cool at the time, it don't. It feels like, they're going there, they're wearing them fly sneakers and all that. I'm going this way, wearing the cheap sneakers. But ultimately, you're an individual, and that's a gang. And the gang is going to end up in situations that you shouldn't be in. So that would be my advice: is the whole follow them, man.
So from the work that I did all the things I was going to say, do you want to share a story that will resonate with Storm about this peace concept, this theme of peace?